G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching my content. I really do appreciate it, as you have given me the pleasure and the privilege to talk about the greatest sport in the world, rugby. A sport we don't play inside stadiums built by slaves. Yeah, so Wales versus the Wallabies. The Italian leftovers, and the two teams seems to be stuck in the same Rugby World Cup pool for eternity. Yes, we're going to go head-to-head once again. I actually can't tell you which team is in the worst position at the moment. Wales losing to Georgia for the first time ever last week at home. Yeah, and that was not really a B team. That was pretty much a very similar lineup to what they've got going today against the Wallabies. But the Wallabies, on the other hand, suffered 7 injuries last week against Ireland. I don't know how this is possible. Yeah, 7, like a third of the team got injured. Almost a third of the team got injured following one match. I don't know. So obviously we know the 6th. So the latest addition to the Wallabies injury is Michael Hooper suffered a bit of a concussion. And so Nick White has concussion, Mike Hooper has a concussion. Who else do we have? Tupou has a calf injury. Paisami has a leg ligament injury. Rob Valentini, I think, has a concussion or something. No, he has a shoulder injury, I think. Andrew Callaway has a injury as well. Dave Parecki has an injury. I can't even remember what it is. So yeah, all of these players. I think Will Skelton also had an injury as well. So 7 injuries in one test match. I don't even know how that's possible. But that's not even the story. 40 people, yes, 40 people have been injured playing for the Wallabies this year. It's like you have a better chance of surviving fighting in Ukraine, I guess. I mean, how? How is this possible? 40 people. Like, it's ridiculous. They're actually going to launch an independent end of year investigation into this to see why this is so much issue. One of the really interesting facts is there's so many people suffering from ruptured Achilles. It's like it's something has to be going wrong in the rugby in the Wallabies training camp for this to be a thing. Like it's so abnormal for so many people to have Achilles issues for the entire team. So yeah, this is going to be an investigation. And one of the main thing that they were talking about is the fact that the Wallabies essentially lost their strength and conditioning coach. So they've brought up a bunch of Super Rugby strength and conditioning coaches to fill in the missing spots. And maybe that has something to do with it, like the conditioning coaches are overworking the players or not doing the right training. And yeah, there were literally times where people were getting concussed in the Wallaby training camps. Like, how is that a thing? How are you getting concussed during training? And it was just bizarre how this is carried out so poorly for the Wallabies injuries. It's and also obviously the incident on the weekend. Nick White clearly had a concussion. He was stumbling around, taken off the field, and the Wallabies medics tries to keep him on the field. We saw this the other week, like the week before, I think, when against Italy, where they were trying to take someone off for a HIA, and the Wallabies medical staff were just like, no, he's fine. I think they're trying to take off Pete Samu, but they were actually getting the wrong guy or something against the Italy game. But they were like the medical staff were just like, he's fine, and then like the doctor's like, no, he needs to come off for a HIA. And like literally the medical staff on the Wallabies team was like covering up injuries during the test match in the Italy game as well. And also obviously this incident happened as well. Nick White gets taken off for HIA, passing the HIA. Somehow he passed HIA, comes back onto the field despite clearly he was stumbling around. And yeah, no one knows what's going on. In this situation, right? If the match doctor had missed an incident where the player's knocked out, as your own medical staff, you need to take him off to protect him. Like, that's basic things. Like, your own player, you need to protect him. For the Wallabies, it's like, yeah, he's fine. We saw him stumbling around. Let's get him out of that anyway. Like they're horrendous. Like I can't believe this we have a job. Like honestly, it just makes my blood boil to see like how our players are so poorly treated by our own medical staff. Like come on, man, come on, like unbelievable. So yeah, I hope this investigation comes out. Something's going on. Something's wrong with his medical stuff, and 40 injuries. Anyway, Wallabies versus Wales, the two old enemies going at it. So the Wallabies had a pretty long run of like pretty much unbeatable periods against Wales until like Warren Gatland kind of took the Wales and turned things around. 2018 was kind of like the first time where Wales put out a win over the Wallabies. I thought the Wallabies won this one. 9 points to 6. Yeah, it was a last minute penalty. And then ever since that win under Warren Gatland, Wales has been able to squeeze out a win every time they played against the Wallabies. In the Rugby World Cup pool match, I thought Wallabies was a better team, and Wales was somehow able to squeeze out a win. And then again in the Autumn Nationals last year, Mike Adamson obviously don't understand what forward, like don't have like spatial recognition. We've all recognized that by now, and he thought that a deliberate knock on by what was his name? Tompkins was not a knock on because he somehow sees the ball going backwards when everybody in the world saw him slapping the ball directly down in front of him, which is a penalty and yellow card. But hey, it is what it is. Wales managed to find a way to win. That's what it matters. And going to this weekend, who knows what's going to happen. But the referee will not be playing any part of Mike Addison's disaster last year. So Matthew Carley is going to be a decent referee. He was the referee between Italy and the Springboks. And I thought it was okay. Despite Bungi Bunabi might disagree with me, I thought he did a pretty decent job. The weather's going to be raining on Saturday, but it is in Cardiff, so there will be a roof, so it's not going to be an issue for either teams. And so looking at some of the stats from the Wales game, it did show a lot of issues with the Wales team. So first thing I noticed immediately was the number of kicks in this game. So in a game where you are more technical, more clinical, and you have you're the favorite to win the game, you should be able to pressure your advantage instead of just kicking the ball away. So the Welsh folded into a lot of the kicking against Georgia, and in fact they lost the kicking game. So Georgia actually was able to put out better and more contestable kicks for themselves, whereas Wales were just kicking the ball away a little bit unnecessarily. In fact, unnecessarily for the most part. So that's one thing that really was not something that seemed like wasn't something that you wanted to do against a team that you're expecting to control the match. The Welsh, as you can see here, had a lot of lineouts, so the Georgians were just like kicking the ball out under pressure to let Wales get a ball thrown in. The Welsh had an issue with the set piece, especially when it comes to scrummaging. They lost a really crucial penalty scrum against Georgia. The reserve Georgian scrum came on and just like really started dominating the Welsh reserve props, and really they gave away the penalty that eventually led to Georgia winning the game. And then the what else were the lineouts weren't that clinical as well for the Welsh, despite having a lot of lineouts being thrown there. So overall, the stats for the teams as well, I thought some of the defense for the Welsh team was a bit poor. Like George North, discipline was okay. A few penalties from a few guys, but not too bad. But it was just the lack of the lack of attack options for the Welsh team was just really stale. A lot of just flat passes to the winger and see what happens. And it was just really easily defended by the Georgian. If you look at the defense, really almost like very few missed tackles from the Georgian team. And in a game like this, I think the Georgians managed to get Wales to play a style that they wanted to play, and it really showed that that Wales was not able to strategically get themselves in a position to win the game. Wallabies versus Ireland, on the other hand, both teams are pretty stale this game as well. And it was largely to do with, obviously Ireland had a missing Johnny Sexton 20 minutes before the game. The Wallabies just looked, again, hasn't really looked that great. And up against the Ireland's impeccable defense, Wallabies really struggled to really find anything out of the Irish defense. Overall, the Wallabies' discipline was a big issue this game. There was so many neck rolls, resulted in a yellow card to Fainga'a. Like, again, something's wrong with the Wallabies coaching staff. Like I've talked about so many years, so many weeks now. How can everybody in the team consistently does the neck roll when they go in for a clean out? Like that, how can you possibly teach that? It's just unbelievable to me. So again, that was just some stupid stuff. In terms of some good performance, Tom Wright once again is the guy that does all the running and no defense, I guess. So Tom Wright, again, highest run meters once again for the Wallabies. Jordan Mateo had a good game coming off the bench. But overall, I thought the Wallabies were also a little bit stale against the Irish team. But nevertheless, most of the players in this Wallaby side is not going to be playing this game. So it doesn't really matter. The stats are actually kind of irrelevant. So the lineup, the Wallabies team, this is actually weaker than the team that played against Italy. And I don't know. I mean, Wales is horrendous. I mean, on paper, Wales should just dominate the Wallabies. But anyway, Gareth Thomas, Ken Owens, Dylan Lewis, it's the pretty stand-up go-to front rowers for Wales. Despite them being the go-to front rowers, they haven't really been that great, to be honest. Especially when it comes to scrummaging. Even it's not not gonna be they're not really known to be that technically good when it comes to scrummaging, to be really frank. In terms of the Wallabies, Jem Slipper, Folau Fainga'a, Alan Alatoa, I would say are much better scrummagers than the Welsh side. However, Fainga'a has a line-out issue where he's not able to throw the ball in straight. So we'll just see how this goes. So I do give the edge a little bit to the Wallabies when it comes to scrummaging. But the lineouts, I feel like the Welsh might have a overall advantage there in the hooker. The lock positions, Alan Wynne-Jones returns at number 5 after being dropped for a couple of games. People calling him too old. But it does seem like the Welsh is running out of options. Adam Beer comes in number 4 for Wales again. I'm pretty sure what's his name was injured. Rollins was injured, so Alan Wynne-Jones is here at 5. But Beard and Jones is a combination that goes way back a couple years ago. Used to be basically the go-to combination for Wales. It's good to see them back together again, and I do feel like, despite the criticism against Alan Wynne-Jones, I do feel like he's still world-class enough to perform at world-class level. Nick Frost and Caden Neville for the Wallabies, the two locks. It is what it is. They're okay. Nick Frost, I think, is doing much better. It's starting to develop much better and slowly getting there to be potentially like a world-class player. But it's got quite a bit of learning to go for both players. For the Wallabies anyway. Jack Morgan, the number 6 for Wales, the guy who scored 2 tries against Georgia, the only guy who seems to know how to score tries against Georgia. He's up against Jed Halloway, who's been quite good for the Wallabies as well. Jed Halloway will probably be the go-to line option because he does play as a lock. Justin Tipperick for Wales. I thought he had a bit of like injury issue for a very long time, and I feel like he's just not really quite there compared to what he used to be. But it is what it is. Luckily for him, Fraser McRae was one of the culprits that gave away too many penalties against Italy, and he gets another option at 10 because obviously Hooper is injured with concussion. And if Fraser is once again not able to control his discipline, this could be another pretty terrible day for the Wallabies. But Fraser does have a pretty good physique, and he's pretty good. He was pretty good in club rugby for the Reds. I do just want to see him, get that clinical, like that, focus for really stay focused for the full game is something that he needs to just work on to take the next step forward. Number 8 position, Falatau for Wales at number 8. A new debutant for the Wallabies, Langi Gleeson. He played for the Wallabies A team against, in the Pacific Nations. So he played off the bench for the Waratahs a little bit. I don't remember him from Super Rugby at all, to be honest. But he is a quite big boy. Apparently he's like the fastest guy in the Waratahs, except for like one winger that can beat him. So he's literally the second fastest guy on the field for the Waratahs. And so he's just apparently like an athletic freak. But yeah, still, we shall see how he goes against Wales. This is a good time for him to debut, I guess. With an injured, what's his name? Anyway, so yeah, with injuries mounting, I guess that's the options you got to go for right now. Tomo Williams comes in number 9 for Wales. Jake Gordon, despite giving away way too many penalties again last week, 2 penalties I think, he gets to start at number 9. I'm a little bit, I thought for sure you would just put McDermott at start. But I think Jake Gordon just suits the style a little bit better for the Wallabies. The way Dave Rennie wants to play. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Gareth Anscombe comes in number 10. Last week, Priestland started at 10. Gareth is the premier number 10 for Wales. I still think that in his prime, he just looked so much better than Dan Biggar. So it would be good to see him play against the Wallabies. And I think he will be the key difference between this week and last week, where the attack line looks super stale against Georgia. And I think Anscombe will make that difference and really open up the game for Wales a lot more this game against the Wallabies. This is a really big selection here for him. And yep, Ben Donaldson somehow gets selected starting at 10 over Noah Lolesio, who has way better kicking percentage, way more experience. I don't know. I mean, Donaldson potentially could be a starting Wallaby fly half sometimes in the future, maybe another 3, 4, 5 years. But at the moment, he's not really there at all. And in fact, compared to Noah Lolesio, he's not even that level yet. Just the fact that his goal kicking is not even world class. Yeah. I don't know. Let me know your with. I don't know what's going on here, actually. Rio Dyer gets number 11 jersey once again for Wales. Mark Nwanga-Nitawasi gets number 11 for Wallabies. He has been, better than I was expecting, to be honest. After bringing into the Wallabies, he had a bit of rusty. I thought his first game was a bit rusty, but he looked a lot better last week, despite losing to Ireland. I thought he looked a lot better last week on the field. Number 12, Joe Hawkins for Wales. And Reece Hodge gets caught in number 12 jersey after Hunter Paisami get injured. So Reece Hodge is one of the guys that can play every position in the back line for the Wallabies. And he has been like out of favour for the Wallabies quite a bit. But yeah, he gets caught into number 12 jersey. I can see that they haven't got any options, except maybe Jordi Patea can play 13 and maybe move. Jordi Patea have played centre before under Michael Checker. But Reece Hodge at 12. It is what it is. George North comes in number 13. He did show a bit of defensive issues against Georgia, but again, he's not really as good as he was before he had that really long injury. He'll be fine at number 13. Len Ikitau gets number 13 jersey for the Wallabies once again. And he's been quite good for Wallabies for the last couple of years now. Quite solid at 13. Not much to say about that. Alex Cuthbert, number 14 for Wales. Jordan Patea gets number 14. I'm surprised that they put Jordan Patea at 14 and not 15. A position that he wants to play for a very... Again, I don't know what's going on with these selections, honestly. Tom Wright is I showed you on the stats, one of the best wingers for the Wallabies in terms of meters run. He gets moved to fullback once again. Pretty sure he had a pretty horrendous fullback outings last time he played at fullback. What was it? Was it against Argentina or something? It was a pretty bad game when he was a fullback, and he gets a fullback again at number 15. I don't know why Jordi Patea is not a fullback when he's expressed repeatedly that he wants to move to fullback. anyway, and also we do have Joe Campbell, who is a legitimate fullback, not being put on on the bench. So yeah, Lee Harpenny finally gets his start for Wales for how long now? I don't know. He's another player that's been injured for a very, 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 very long time, and yeah, it would be good to see him finally in action in the starting number 15 jersey. Again, in the bench, Ryan Elias, number 16, Rodri Jones, number 17, and Thomas Francis, number 18. Yeah, last week, these three guys lost to Georgia. So, yeah, I don't know how... Yeah, but then again, the Wallabies reserve props. Again, this is like a third, fourth tier reserve props for the Wallabies at the moment. Lockie Lonergan, another Wallaby hooker who can't throw the ball in straight. Ryan Elias is actually much better than Lockie Lonergan, to be honest, at number 16. Tom Robinson, he's, I don't know, discipline issues against Italy. Sam Talakai, who just signed with the Rebels. He was in Japan for the last couple of years. He used to play a little bit for the Reds, and he played for the Rebels as well in the past. But yeah, that's a long time, a couple of years ago now. So he gets number 18 jersey. Ben Carter comes in at number 19 for Wales. Ned Hannigan, 19. I thought Ned should have been starting, but anyway. Again, P. Samuel at 20. Again, I thought P probably should be starting, but who am I to decide on these selections here? Josh McLeod gets number 20 for Wales. Kieran Hardy, number 21 for Wales. Tate McDermott, number 21. Yeah, probably should be starting, but oh well. Reece Priestland, number 22. Has been a good finisher for Wales. It's okay. For cover for Anscombe, essentially. And again, no lot of seal, number 22. I don't know how they make these selections. Joe Campbell, number 23. I don't know how they make this. This is like a much better. There's a much better team on the bench than the actual starting team. I don't know what's going on here. Josh Adams gets number 23 for Wales, and yeah, that's the selections right there for the game. My prediction, I think the Wales going to be the Wallabies, hopefully by a lot, and yeah. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts. Maybe Wales win 30 points to 10. Okay? I'm hoping because I don't know what's going on with these selections, to be honest. With why is P. Samu on the bench when you obviously don't have a number 8, and you have literally a bunch of players who are capable to play at a 15. You put Tom Wright there, who's literally the best winger for the Wallabies based on run meters. I don't know. Again, not a lot of CO. Again, are you just want to pick the worst thing possible, or what? Or you think that Wales is that bad after losing to Georgia? I don't know. It's just mind-boggling to me. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I mean, obviously, you know, the Wallabies medic staff don't even know how to protect their own players. What did you expect? What do you expect? Maybe they just send these guys out there first because they know they're going to get injured. All right? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys for the reviews. Cheers.